back over 500. Yesterday, we had the Ravens minus 4.5, which was a winner. We had the Buccaneers minus 2.5, the loser. We had the Seattle Seahawks minus 7, another winner. We had the Rams and the Lions in a teaser, another winner. And then we had the Jags and the Bills in a teaser, which was a loss. The end of that Jacksonville game was crazy. Thank you, Trevor Lawrence, for blowing that one. I actually had the Jags in a teaser with the Seahawks on my DraftKings and FanDuel, which we fully endorse. And Trevor Lawrence's interception as time expired, which was returned by a lineman for a touchdown, killed a lot of people's hopes and dreams. Talk about a bad beat. That would be perfect for ESPN's bad beats. I've had a bunch of those this year with blocked field goals returned for touchdowns. I've had 2 of those. Lawrence throwing this interception where basically all they had to do was sack him. The game was over. It was 4th down. But instead he throws it right into the arms of a defensive lineman who rumbles like 40 yards for a touchdown with no time on the clock. 36-29 was how the Jags blew a 29-10 fourth quarter lead, did Jacksonville, at Houston, where Houston is playing a backup quarterback in Davis Mills. They blow a 19-point fourth quarter lead. So, thumbs down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But we did go 3-2 yesterday. We actually went 4-2 over the weekend in the pros because we gave you a CFL playoff winner in Montreal minus 2.5 over Hamilton. We are 35-34 in the pros. We had an awful college weekend going 0-3. We're now 18-21-1 in college after being over 500 all year. But the last 2 weeks in college, we have gone a very dismal 1-7. We're going to have to do some studying on our college picks this weekend. We have some breaking news, which some of you may have heard today. And that is, Brian Daboll has been fired as head coach of the New York Giants. And boy, was this overdue. Brian Daboll is fired as head coach of the New York Giants. I said watching the Bears game as the Giants blew another lead in the fourth quarter this year. I mean, they blow numerous second half leads and fourth quarter leads. And I said to a buddy of mine as we're watching the game, I said, I would fire him. I wouldn't even let him get on the airplane home. And I would have told him to take Joe Schoen, the general manager, with him. But Schoen's going to keep his job. He will keep his job, and apparently he's going to aid in the search for the next head coach, so maybe he stays around. Maybe drafting Jackson Dart is going to save his ass. But Brian Daboll is out as head coach with a record with the Giants of 20-40-1. What was Daboll here, about 4 years? 5 years? 5 years, I think. But anyway, his lifetime record with the Giants, 20-40-1, and he is out as head coach. Mike Kafka, the current offensive coordinator, will be the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. Okay, we're going to get to our NFL news and go over the games from yesterday. We started the week off on Thursday night with the Broncos defeating the Raiders 10-7. That was a very forgettable game. Obviously, the Broncos have a top tier defense. They are 8-2. I think they won 7 in a row now. The Broncos. They are the 1 seed currently. I'm sorry, the Colts are the 1 seed in the AFC. They are the 2 seed. But they are 8-2 and on top of the AFC West. But I'm going to tell you something. Bo Nix is regressing a bit in year 2, and the Denver offense just can't get going. And Sean Payton is kind of an offensive genius, and he's great. He's the quarterback guru. He's great with his QBs. Always on the same page with his quarterbacks, and he is struggling to get Bo Nix going. The Denver offense is their weakness, and that game the other night was not CTV. So they squeak out a win against the Las Vegas Raiders, 10-7 in a divisional matchup, but it was a struggle. The Raiders actually missed a 48-yard field goal that would have tied the game late, and the Broncos squeak out of there with a win, really needing to find a way to get their offense going because it's in quicksand right now, and Bo Nix has regressed in year two. Sean Payton's going to need to figure out a way to get that jump started. Matter of fact, let's check here. I want to see something. I want to give you Bo Nix's stat line Thursday night. God, Geno Smith is just terrible. Geno Smith of the Raiders, 143 yards, no touchdowns, one pick. Bo Nix, 16 of 28 for a measly 150 yards and one touchdown and two picks. And, 57% completion rate does not do it in the NFL, boys and girls. Sorry. Bo Nix is struggling more and more as the weeks pass. And listen, he had a very promising rookie season. He has shown flashes. He's led some fourth quarter comebacks this season. He looked great against the Giants in the fourth quarter after playing poorly for 2.5 quarters, and then he came alive late in that game, mostly the fourth quarter, led them from behind. He has shown flashes, but brutal inconsistency with the Browns' offense is ranked near the bottom of the league. Broncos. The Bronco offense ranks near the bottom of the league. Their defense is stellar, and it's been, carrying the team right now. Bo Nix just needs to find a way to get it going. Sean Payton's going to have to go back to the drawing board. They need to elevate their play on offense. So the Broncos squeak out a 10-7 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Sunday morning in Germany, the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Atlanta Falcons 31-25. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Jonathan Taylor, he's the front runner for MVP. He had 244 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. And I'm going to tell you, he saved this game for the Colts because the last 2 weeks, Daniel Jones is really starting to look like that Daniel Jones we remember from the New York Giants. He's had 2 fumbles, 4 interceptions in the last 2 games. Had another pick in this game, another fumble. Daniel Jones has struggled. He's been happy feet in the pocket. Teams are starting to figure out if you really pressure him, you could force him into mistakes, and that's what they're doing. The Colts will try to adjust to that. They do get the win, 31-25. Michael Penix, also another young quarterback who is hot and cold. He looks good one week and lost the next, and it's been more the latter lately. He was 12 for 27 for 177 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, but less than 50% as far as your completion rate ratio. That's you can't be doing that in the NFL, young man. You got to be a top-notch NFL quarterback is in the 63 to 67% completion percentage ratio, and he completed less than 50% of his passes did Michael Penix, and he is struggling. The Colts win this game. They improve to 8-2. They are the 1 seed in the AFC currently. The Falcons drop to 3-6. We had the New York Jets getting their 2nd win in a row, beating the Browns 27-20. This game was a crazy game. The Jet offense did play poorly. They got 2 touchdowns on special teams, a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown. They win it 27-20. They win one for Nick Mangold, who recently passed. His family was in attendance. It was an emotional day. Justin Fields was 6 of 11 for 54 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And his highlight was basically a 1-yard pass to Breece Hall, who he broke for a 49-yard touchdown. I think it was a 50-yard touchdown. So that means the other 5 completions totaled 4 yards for Justin Fields, as he was 6 of 11 for 54 yards, a touchdown and interception. The Jets have no quarterback, but they did squeak out a win. I don't know what the Browns are doing with Dylan Gabriel. Play Shedeur Sanders, okay? Just play Shedeur Sanders. Play Shedeur Sanders. You don't need to see. This kid is 5'10". Okay, they list him at 5'11 and a half, I think. No, actually he's listed at 5'11". He's 5'10". He's got a pop gun arm. He's smart. He knows how to run the offense. He knows how to put the ball where it's supposed to go, but he doesn't have the outstanding athletic attributes you like to see in your quarterback. Browns, see what you got in Shedeur Sanders. If not, you're gonna have the opportunity to draft another quarterback in this coming draft. All right, that's it for that game. Ravens 27, Vikings 19. I'm gonna tell you what, guys. The book is still out on J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, he's in his second year. Obviously, he didn't really play a lot last season. He didn't play at all last season, so he got to sit on the bench and watch because he tweaked his knee in preseason. And honestly, he had a meniscus cleanup out of his knee, and they decided to rest him all year, figuring he would learn under Sam Darnold and watch. So this is really like a rookie year for him because he didn't play last year. And, listen, JJ's got moxie. He's a national championship winning quarterback. He does seem to have the tools. He moves good with his leg. He's got a strong arm, although he doesn't always know where to put the ball. And he's very inconsistent. And I'm going to tell you something. The Vikings, listen, you're going to obviously play him the whole year. Minnesota needs to see what they have in this kid. Because you invested a first-round draft pick in him, but through the starts I've seen thus far, it's looking suspect. It's looking suspect. JJ was 17 of 29 for 176 yards. Again, 58% completion. That doesn't cut it in the NFL. 1 touchdown, no interceptions. I mean, other than one stellar fourth quarter that this kid had early in the season, he's been very ordinary. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second, guys. That was incorrect. I just actually gave you Lamar Jackson's numbers. JJ was 20 of 42. Even worse, 47% completion, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. That's a nightmarish day at the office. 20 of 42, 248. Listen, they lost this game 27-19, where the Ravens didn't even play that well on offense. As I just said, Lamar Jackson was 17 of 29 for 176 yards. 1 touchdown, no pick. Even Henry didn't run the ball very well. 20 for 75 yards. Lamar did have 9 carries for 36 yards to add to his ledger. But yes, the Raven offense was less than stellar. But the Vikings turned the ball over and put the Ravens in favorable situations, and they were able to get the 27-19 victory in Minnesota, dropping the Vikings to 4-5, raising the Ravens to 4-5. The Ravens have momentum and a schedule in their favor. I know Las Vegas has now switched the odds where the Ravens are actually the favorite to win that division over the Steelers, who we'll get to them in a second. But you never know what Pittsburgh Steelers team you're going to get from week to week. You never know. In one of the more exciting games of the day, the New England Patriots defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28-23 at Tampa. I thought this might have been a game where the young Patriots stumble. The Buccaneers, although banged up, they did have Egbuka back. Listen, they haven't had Bucky Irving for quite a few games now. I think Bucky's missed 3 games in a row. And Rashid White has done well in his stead, but did not play good today. They did not run the ball well. So they did not run the ball well on Sunday against the Patriots, where the Patriots did just the opposite. Henderson ran for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm going to tell you something. They're missing their starting running back, and the Patriots go to this second-round draft pick who is a rookie, and he just lit it up. J. Henderson, 14 carries for 147 yards. I'm sorry, the team rushed for 166. Henderson rushed for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had 2 stellar touchdown runs where he looked fast as lightning. Drake May, another great game, 16 of 30 for 271 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. listen, the Patriots are for real. They might be the best team in the league. The Patriots are for real. They could easily be the best team in the AFC. They're playing complementary defense. They have a top 5 corner in Gonzalez. They have a running game. They have a great quarterback. And they've even found weapons in Butte, as well as, obviously, Diggs, Demario Douglas. We know the Patriots, Hunter Henry, they have good tight ends. The Patriots are back. It's hard to believe, but they're back. They're 8-2, and they may be the best team in the AFC. Because the Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, you don't know what Buffalo Bills team you're getting from week to week. Kind of like the Steelers. Let's take a look at what was the Buffalo Bills game here. The Bills are upset by the Dolphins. Another one of my losses. Again, kind of a shocking upset. The Bills are defeated 30-13 by the Miami Dolphins, who improved their record to 3-7 as the Bills fall to 6-3. I'll just wrap it up that Patriot game. The Pats are now 8-2. The Buccaneers still in first place in the NFC South at 6-3. Again, the Buccaneers playing without Godwin, missing their tackle on the offensive line, missing Bucky Irving, still banged up, but the Bucs have seemingly been able to manage that. I mean, they've been missing guys all season long. Evans, their starting wide receiver, well, he was their number one. I would think Egbuka is the number one now, but Evans has been out of the lineup most of the year. Godwin has missed time. They've been banged up along the offensive line. So I'm going to tell you what, Baker has played excellent in managing all these injuries and keeping them rolling. So I expected them to be fired up coming off a bye week. I expected them to do a little home cooking and take care of the Pats. Not that the Pats aren't playing excellent, but they're young. You figure there's got to be a bump in the road for them at some point. But no, they go into Buffalo, they win. They go into Tampa, win. Baker had a good day, 273 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wasn't his fault, but just a stellar performance by the Patriots. Okay, moving along, back to the Buffalo Bills getting upset by the Miami Dolphins, who improved their record to 3-7. Now, Allen did throw for 306 yards on 28 of 40. He did throw 2 touchdowns, but he was picked once, and he turned the ball over via fumble once. James Cook also fumbled. They were kind of a turnover parade. 2 big turnovers and 2 drive killers, and Cook could not get going. 14 carries for only 53 yards, and as I said, he had the fumble. The Bills were sloppy, turnovers galore, and the rain's coming down in Florida. A very solid day. 15 of 21. The ball barely hit the ground. Only 173 yards, 2 TDs, and he did throw 2 picks, but they were more like punts with your arm. On some deep chances he was picked off. A Chain, who is one of the fantastic talents in this league and probably the best player on the Dolphins. 22 carries for 174 yards, 2 electric touchdowns. He was the star of that game for Miami, and the Dolphins get the win. A head scratcher for Buffalo. Excuse me. Buffalo had beaten the Dolphins 7 consecutive times. Not anymore. That streak ends. The New Orleans Saints. Here was another head-scratching upset. Not that the Carolina Panthers are a powerhouse, but coming off a big win, at Green Bay, they're back home. They're 5-4, chance to go to 6-4, and they get beat by a 1-8 football team in the New Orleans Saints. Tyler Shuck got his second start. I've been telling them all year to get rid of Spencer Rattler and start this guy. Finally, they do it. Didn't play very well in his first start, but in his second start, Tyler Shuck goes 19 of 27 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was the number 1 star of that game. Bryce Young struggled. 17 completions for only 125 yards. 17 of 25, 124. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Speaking of draft picks that haven't panned out, this is another one of them. Carolina, this little midget is not going to do the trick, okay? I don't like Kyler Murray. I don't like quarterbacks that are under 5'9" or 5'9" and under, whatever. Bryce Young's not the guy. Just like Kyler Murray's not the guy in Arizona. Just like Dylan Gabriel's not the guy in... It's very, very rare that you get a quarterback who is under 6 feet that's effective in the National Football League. Okay, Drew Brees was at 6 feet. He was a Hall of Famer. Okay, we know that. Russell Wilson did have a good run. Went to 2 Super Bowls. He's rare. Those things are... Moving right along. We went over the Giants... Chicago Bears, where the Bears came from 20-10 down to come from behind and defeat the Giants 24-20. Jackson Dart injured again with a concussion. He was 19 of 29 for 242, also 6 carries for 66 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He was playing out of his mind. 242 yards through the air, no touchdowns, no picks, but 66 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And, listen, though, Jackson Dart is running way too much. Listen, Kafka now is going to go from offensive coordinator to head coach. You need a better plan for Jackson Dart. You can't have him running like he's a full-time running back. That can't be your offensive game plan. You're getting the kid banged up every week, it seems like. You got to come up with a better plan. Probably one of the many reasons why also Dable got the axe, because, he's responsible for the overseeing of that plan. So... Dart leaves the game. Russell Wilson comes in the fourth quarter, and as expected, he's not going to do shit. They blow a 20-10 lead. Caleb Williams, 220 through the air, 63 on the ground, touchdown rushing, touchdown passing, and that was it for the Giants, 24-20. We mentioned the Houston Texans defeating the Jaguars 36-29 as Houston overcame a 29-10 deficit in the fourth quarter. Just a terrible job. And Trevor Lawrence is another guy. And add to the list of what we've just been talking about, of a blue chip first rounder who just might not be it. I mean, and for him, he's got all the tools and attributes, the arm, the size. He just can't put it together. 158 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. 13 of 24, barely 50%. Davis Mills, who played like ass for 3 quarters, lit it up in the fourth quarter, ended up throwing for 292, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and rushed for a touchdown, the game winner. A terrible, terrible, terrible loss for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They fall to 5-4. I'm going to tell you something. You got to do a better job than that if you're Jacksonville. Since their win over Kansas City, they've gone downhill. They have now lost 2 in a row. They are 5-4. The Texans improved to 4-5. The Seattle Seahawks defeat the Cardinals 44-22. Sam Darnold played out of his mind again. A lot of it in the first half. He struggled a little bit in the second half. They got up like 35-0. And things got a little sloppy as they got a little complacent. But I'll tell you what, the Seattle Seahawks, they look like one of the best teams in the league. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. I want to get you Sam's numbers. Boy, I think the Vikings are thinking twice a little now about losing Sam and handing it over to a rookie. And now Sam's having an MVP season, which he almost had for them until he kind of played crappy the last 2 games. And I know they were pivotal games. But he did have a stellar season for the Vikings, and he's having an even better one this year in Seattle. Of course, they turned the reins over in Arizona to Jacoby Brissett. He was mediocre, 50% completion, 22 of 44, 258. He did throw 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 6 times. My God. Jacoby Brissett's not the answer. If he's sending Kyler Murray to the bench, it just shows you got a damn good backup quarterback, and you need to find a starter. Sam Darnold was 10 of 12 for 178 yards. Only threw the ball 12 times. I was not aware of that. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I mean, I watched this game. I can't believe that was all that. That's all that Sam did. He only threw. Let's see here. I mean, they rushed the ball for 198 yards, so that's probably why Sam didn't have to. Charbonneau, 14 of 83. Walker, 13 for 67. Yeah, they just pounded the ball on the ground. Sam was efficient. The ball barely hit the ground. One touchdown, one pick. He did fumble also. In the second half, things got a little sloppy. But like I says, there was two defensive touchdowns in this game by DeMarcus Lawrence. One off a sack and fumble. Another one, he scooped up the ball after Darnold got hit. But one, he basically created the sack and then scooped the fumble. So DeMarcus Lawrence had two defensive touchdowns in the first quarter. They jumped out early and often. They were up 28-0 after one quarter. So Sam didn't really have to do much. But he was very efficient. Like I said, again, the ball barely hits the ground. And it's a 44-22 blowout for the Seattle Seahawks. The young and fast Seattle Seahawks on the ascent. They are on the ascent. Watch out for Seattle in the NFC. Speaking of top teams in the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Niners 42-26. Now, as you know, the Rams were my pick in the Super Bowl this year. The Rams were my pick. I picked the Rams in Buffalo early. That was my Super Bowl pick week one. And I'm going to stick to it, although I'm not liking how Buffalo is looking right now. I'll tell you that much. But this game, the Rams showed their might. Speaking of MVP caliber performance, Matthew Stafford is having a MVP caliber season. Stafford was 24 of 36 for 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, a 127 quarterback rating. And listen, he's got tons of weapons. 6 for 77 to Devontae, and he had a touchdown. Nakua, 5 catches for 64, and he had a touchdown. They looked flawless, and they also looked nasty on defense. The Rams made short work of the Niners. The Niners got a late touchdown to make it look closer than it was. Listen, Mac Jones threw for over 300 yards. We know the Niners are banged up on defense, and those players are not coming back. They're not coming back. Bosa's not coming back. Warner, linebacker, he's not coming back. And those are major losses. And at this point, though, I don't know if the Niners are any better with Mac Jones than they are with Brock Purdy. But the Rams improved to 7-2, and they continue to look. While the Seahawks are in first place in the West via tiebreaker, the Rams can send. I think it's the Seahawks are actually the number 1 seed in the whole conference at the moment. But I think the Rams will eventually be that top seed. I think the Rams are the best team in that conference. But the NFC has some strong teams with the Rams, Seattle, Philadelphia, and we're going to see Philly and Green Bay tonight. We'll get to that in a second. What else? Detroit romps Washington 44-22. The Lions, actually, Coach Campbell took the offensive play calling duties in the second half from Johnny Morton, the OC. That's been a story today. Dan was kind of tight-lipped about why he did it. Says we're all on the same page, we're all working together. But he did do that in the second half. Jameson Williams was seen throwing a tantrum on the sidelines. And then, of course, in the second half came and they just fed Jameson Williams. So I would gather that had something to do with what was going on. Not that they respond to player tantrums, but Williams is a super talented receiver who has been, uninvolved in the offense. Listen, Gibbs has been great. You know about St. Brown. He's great. And they're utilizing all them, and Montgomery on the ground as well. But Jameson Williams is nasty talent. You got to get him involved. Goff, 25 of 33, 320, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jameson Williams, as mentioned, 6 for 119 and a touchdown. And he got that 6 for 119 mostly in the second half. Laporta, as you know, another quality player. 5 for 53. St. Brown, 5 for 58. Listen, this is not the year for the Commanders. They don't have their quarterback. And he is going to be coming back, but he's been banged up and out of the lineup so much. Their defense looks like ass. They can't stop a nosebleed. Dan Quinn does not have the magic elixir this year. It's a 3-7 loss season. It's a 3-7 loss season for the Washington Commanders. And the Lions roll The Lions roll 44-22. The last game, the Chargers defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 25-10. The Steelers looked anemic. Aaron Rodgers looked old. He looked sharp one week. He looks slow and old the next. Their offense struggles to get out of its own way. Listen, the Chargers are banged up along that offensive line too. And Alt's out for the season now. And when he's been all out, Justin Herbert seems to get hit a lot and they don't run the ball as efficiently. But it didn't bother them last night. Rodgers 16 of 31 for 161 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Not a stellar night for him. The Steelers, Warren had 15 carries for 70 yards, and that was basically it. They only rushed for 73 yards. That's not going to get it done. The Chargers, efficient night for Herbert, 20 of 33. 220, 1 touchdown. He was also sacked 5 times, like we mentioned with the problems with the Chargers' offensive line, and he got hit a lot. That's something that Jim Harbaugh is that's going to be a concern for Coach Harbaugh because these, again, Alt's not coming back, and he was a major cog to that offensive line. Other than that, this was not a gaudy offensive night. Ladd McConkey, the star of the game, 4 catches, 107 yards, and he did catch the only touchdown. 25-10. The Chargers, they improved to 7-3, and the Steelers dropped to 5-4. And now the Steelers are just one game ahead of the Ravens, who at 4-5 are breathing right down their neck. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give this out. The Ravens are going to win that division. They're going to win that division. After starting 1-5, they're going to win the division. I don't think that's ever been done before. So tonight, shifting to tonight. Tonight we have perhaps the game of the week. The game of the weekend. I mean, obviously Pats, Tampa was a great game. But we didn't have a lot of marquee matchups. Over the weekend. The Rams-Niners also was a good game. The Ravens-Vikings was billed to supposedly be a good game, but it was very unimpressive. I don't even think the Ravens were that impressive, even though they won the game quite easily. But tonight's game, Eagles-Packers, is 2 of the top teams in the league. The Eagles are on the road. They are 1.5-point underdog. A 1.5-point underdog at Green Bay. Green Bay at -1.5, the home favorite. This is a big game. Listen, the Eagles just fortified their secondary at the trade deadline. They also got Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins to bolster the defensive end position. It seems like they have made every move they needed to make to fortify their defense for the playoff run. So the Packers, on paper, they look like they should be obviously on top of their division, a championship contender, but they've given you some of these stink bombs this year. The loss to Cleveland, the loss to Carolina, the tie to Dallas. Those are 3 games that they're not even supposed to come close to losing. Head scratchers, to say the least. So, I'm thinking tonight, anytime you want to put logic into play, and logic would tell you the Eagles at 6-2 coming in are the better team. But something tells me off that dreadful performance, the Packers are going to show up tonight. The Packers are currently on top of their division at 5-2-1. The Lions are 6-3, so they have the 1-game edge. They have the Bears at 6-3, also right on their ass. The Chicago Bears, but they haven't been 6-3 in a while. Caleb Williams and their bright young head coach have them in the moving in the right direction. What else? We have Tampa still leading the South at 6-3. The Seahawks and Rams are tied for first in the West, 7-2. The Seahawks have the tiebreaker there. The Niners are 6-4. The Cardinals' season is over. They're 3-6. The South has the Bucs at 6-3. The Panthers at 5-5. Bucks in control there. Falcons at 3-6 and Saints at 2-8. They're not going anywhere. The Vikings are in the bottom of the NFC North at 4-5. Packers, Lions, Bears, Vikings, and then we have the Eagles basically playing by themselves in the NFC East. The Cowboys suck. They're 3-5-1. The Commanders suck. They're 3-7. And the Giants suck, and they're 2-8. The Giants will be getting a new head coach, and you know what? The Giants might have the most exciting quarterback in that division. Kudos to Dak Prescott. He's definitely the most consistent. Jalen Hurts is the most consistent. The guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, and he's won one of them. But as far as tools and skill set, Prescott's probably the best quarterback in that division. But upside moving into the future, Dak's going to be in year 11 next year, and I think the Giant fans, I know it looks bleak right now, but you get a good head coach, another good draft with this kid at the helm. I do think the future is brighter for the Giants than it is for the Commanders. I think that Jaden Daniels, although very talented, his build, he's a thin dude. He gets hurt a lot. And I'm also not a Dan Quinn fan. Guy I remember blowing the freaking Super Bowl when he coached the Falcons, and they blew the 28-3 lead to the Patriots. Obviously, the Eagle franchise is like U.S. Steel. They draft well, they coach well, they play as a team well, and they have one of the deepest rosters, so they're not going anywhere. The Cowboys, as long as Jerry Jones is involved, they'll never win. So in that division, the Giants may have the second best outlook. I wish poor Dak Prescott would get traded to a team where he could win a championship because he deserves it. I feel for him stuck in that Dallas mess. Anyway, we are going to give out the Packers tonight. We are, even though all logic tells me that the Eagles are the better, more together team, but the Packers do this just when you think, and they're even banged up. They lost their wonderful rookie tight end for the season last week with the knee injury. Kraft, that poor kid, he was playing lights out. He's out for the year. And they're banged up at wide receiver tonight. But I don't know, something just tells me that the Packers are going to give a Herculean effort tonight off of the dreadful performance last week. And I think that the Packers are going to edge out like a 27-24 game tonight. I'm taking Green Bay, lay the 1.5. Also take them in the money line. They're gonna win the game, I would think. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I am going to take them officially. So that's our plays for tonight. The Pack, -1.5. And you know what? We're just going to leave it at that. We don't need a money line play. We're going to take the Pack, -1.5 tonight over the Eagles in what will be a tightly contested affair at Lambeau Field. Before we get off the air, just going to take a quick look. We got some juicy NHL games tonight. The Rangers just dropped the puck in the Garden at hosting the Predators. The Rangers have not won a game at the Garden all year. I believe they're 0-7. Is that correct? Yes, it is. The Devils are hosting the Islanders. They are up 1-0 in the first period. The young Islanders have played better than expected at 7-6-2. They have some good young players now in Henneman, Emil Henneman, and obviously Matthew Schaefer. It's something to watch now. Some young blood. The kid Callum Ritchie's been called up from Bridgeport. And the Islanders have at least been interesting. The struggling defending champs are in Vegas tonight. The Panthers at the Golden Knights, 10 p.m. The Blue Jackets host another struggling powerhouse, the Oilers. Blue Jackets at Oilers. That is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, in the first period, the Devils are up on the Islanders 1-0. The Devils are clearly the best team in the local area here. We're in the metropolitan New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. Obviously, there's no teams in Connecticut. I don't even know why I mentioned Connecticut. Devils up 1-0. Devils are 11-4. The Rangers struggling to score, coming off a 5-0 loss to the Islanders at home. The Rangers are currently sitting at 7-7-2. What is their home record? I have to see their home record. Hold on. That can't. Is that actually? Wait a second. That cannot be true. That cannot be true. I can't believe that. Let's see here. I don't have it here. We got to get the Rangers. We got to get the New York Rangers home record before we get out of here. New York Rangers. We're going to punch in our little statistician here. New York Rangers home record. Somebody told me today that they were 0-7 at home. Oh my God, it's true. The New York Rangers are 0-6-1 at home. They're 0-6-1. They have not won a game at Madison Square Garden. I find that surreal. The Canes and the Devils atop the Metropolitan at 11-4. The surprising Penguins right behind them at 9-5-3. The Flyers 8-5-2. And then right on the outside looking in, Islanders 7-6-2, Rangers 7-7-2, Caps 7-7-1, and Blue Jackets 7-7. In the Atlantic, the young Canadians 10-3-2, the surprising Bruins 10-7. Although I do think the Bruins will eventually fall by the wayside. Sens at 8-5-3. The Lightning starting to pick it up 8-5-2. So that would be your playoff teams if the playoffs started today. Hurricanes, Devils, Penguins, Flyers, Canadians, Bruins, Senators, Lightning would be the 8 teams in the playoffs in the East. But obviously very early in the Western Conference. In the Central, Avalanche, Stars, Blackhawks, and Jets. The Blackhawks with Connor Bedard and young goalie Spencer Knight have been a surprise, 8-5-3. Stars 9-4-3. Avalanche on top at 10-1-5, as expected. We picked the Colorado Avalanche to win that division. In the Pacific, the young, surprising Anaheim Ducks, 11-3-1. They are the Mighty Ducks now. They're the Anaheim Ducks, but we're going to call them mighty because they are young and fast and exciting. And it's been a few years, but the rebuild is now taking shape. Golden Knights 7-3-4. Kraken, surprisingly, near the top, 7-4-4. Kings 7-5-4. Sharks right on the outside. The young Sharks playing better, 7-6-3. Canucks, Oilers, and Flames make out the bottom. Surprisingly slow start for the Canucks and the Oilers. So if the playoffs were to start today, Avalanche, Stars, Blackhawks, Jets, it would be the Avalanche, Stars, Blackhawks, then Ducks, Knights, Kraken, and the wild card teams would be the Mammoth and the Kings. If the season were just looking at the early, after 15 games, or 17 games for some teams after 17 games in. And in the East, it would be the Hurricanes, Devils, Penguins, Canadian, Bruins, Senators. That would be your top 6, and your wild card teams would be the Lightning and the Flyers if the playoffs were to begin today, which of course they don't because it's only 17 games in. But just interesting to see where teams lie this early in the season. Shocking statistic that the New York Rangers have not won a game at home at 0-6-1. They obviously are squeezing the sticks tight and feeling enormous pressure at the overpriced palace known as Madison Square Garden, where championships are never won. But the ticket prices go up every 5 minutes. I'm sorry if you live in this area. The Prudential Center and UBS, the homes of the Devils and the Islanders, way nicer buildings, way affordable. You can actually bring your family. I don't like to be biased on this show. You know, I like to keep it straight down the middle. But you know what? F Madison Square Garden. Okay? F Madison Square Garden. And your high price tickets and your bougie fan base and your teams that never win shit. So, on that note, I'm going to bid adieu to you guys. Thanks for listening tonight. I do want to remind you to please subscribe to the North American Sports Report on YouTube. Please follow us on Facebook. You can scan the QR code to get you right on there. You can donate to our cause via Cash App or Venmo. You can see the code right at the bottom there. You can scan the QR. We always encourage you guys to like on Facebook. You could also follow me on Billy DiNapoli Facebook, where we stream live, as well as on the YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. But you get the shows right here on YouTube, and Facebook. So thanks again, guys. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight. We are going to stick to our 3 shows a week. We're going to do our Saturday morning, our Sunday morning, and our Monday evening. That seems to be the best time slots that my schedule allows. Crazy work schedule lately, and we gotta pay the bills too. So that comes first. But we're going to stick to that schedule 3 days a week. We look forward to seeing you Saturday. We'll have a full recap of the week in sports and get ready for college and pro football for that week. And we're even going to have a CFL championship, Grey Cup championship game in Canada. We'll even give you a pick for that. You guys have a great night. Thanks for the support. This is Billy DiNapoli on the North American Sports Report, and everybody have